terms of exclusives, how about a first for Irish whiskey in general? That I know of. I could be wrong. It happened once before, where I was wrong. Actually, I thought I was wrong, and it turned out that I was right. Let's drink some whiskey. Welcome to Whiskey and Whiskey, Whiskey Chaser Brian, Christy's Bar. You know the deal by now. So today, another Irish distiller's product. I know you've been kind of thinking, WTF, Bri? Why all the Irish distiller stuff? Because they're a big deal and obviously produce a lot of fantastic whiskeys. I mean, it is one of, if not the biggest distillery in the world. One of, if not the biggest. But this whiskey right here comes from a micro distillery within Midleton. Micro, but still massive. This is the limited edition Method and Madness Mulberry Wood Pot Still Irish Whiskey. I know my last video was quite long, so today I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet. She said. Method and Madness is produced by Irish distillers in Midleton, County Cork. Alongside other such regarded whiskies that I've mentioned before on numerous occasions, you have your Jameson, your Redbreast, Spot Range, Powers, etc. The difference with these whiskies here is that they are produced on site in a micro distillery within a distillery. This distillery is so micro that it's actually larger than a fairly substantial amount of current operating distilleries around Ireland. How big, you ask? I actually don't know. And that's not laziness on my part. I've done the research, but I can't find current output, still sizes, you know, all the techie stuff that we seem to all love, right? But I can tell you that it's quite large, and large enough to be within the 10 largest distilleries in Ireland category. Anyway, it's big. That's what she said. The emphasis here is about what the brand stands for and why it came about. I suppose when you think about how big Irish distillers are and what they produce, it would be hard for them to be able to experiment a bit and try and bring out something truly different. To be fair, there's a lot going on at the distillery. So the Method and Madness range is all about experimentation. Actually, it's about pushing the boundaries of Irish whiskey through innovative releases by harnessing the experience and creativity of the masters and fresh thinking of the apprentices at Middle Distillery and Micro Distillery. That was the press release right there, but you can't deny for a second that I actually sounded like I knew what I was talking about. Brought about in 2017 and taking inspiration from the famous Shakespearean quote, "Though this be madness, yet there is method in it," Method and Madness is designed to reflect a next generation Irish spirit brand with a measure of curiosity and intrigue. Madness. While honoring the tradition and expertise grounded in the generations of expertise at the Midleton Distillery. Method. We get the ethos. They try something different. And to date, they have released a number of super premium whiskies along with a gin in 2019, which has a really kind of funky label thing going on. And that's actually because they're a funky, cool kind of brand. I'm a big fan of some of their other releases, and the majority of whiskey geeks that I hang around with are fans too. So when I saw that they were bringing out a new offering and it was coming from the distillery, naturally, it had my full attention. Now, what's actually different about this particular whiskey is the wood that it's finished in. Apparently, it's a world's first for Irish whiskey and perhaps whiskey in general. This is finished in Mulberry Wood. I have done a fair amount of research trying to source other whiskeys that may have been finished in or matured in Mulberry Wood, but you know what, Google search didn't turn up anything for me. And if you know of any spirit at all that's had any interaction with Mulberry Wood, maybe list it below in the comments so I can actually check it out for myself and do a bit of research. From my understanding, Mulberry Wood is a very hard, porous, and durable wood originating from Asia, but the wood used for these casks was actually sourced in Hungary. The leaves of said wood can be used for silk production, while the fruit of the wood can also be used for herbal medicines, tea, and some wine. The casks used for this particular application were 50-litre quarter casks. I'm guessing the reason behind this was to actually turbocharge the maturation process by using casks with a greater surface area to liquid ratio. And the last two releases from Method and Madness in terms of whiskey, I believe was in 2019 and both exclusives, I think, on that. I think the Acacia wood and the cherry wood. They were both smashing examples of Irish whiskey. I'm not even sure that you can get those anymore, but yeah, I really enjoyed them. Actually, they wouldn't be a bad whiskey to get to try and have on the channel. I'll do my best for that one. It's really good whiskey. So without any more delay, let's get into and try a little sup of this whiskey. And as always, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel yet, then you might consider doing so along with clicking the little notifications bell. Generally speaking, you'll find most of, if not all of, the latest Irish releases on this channel, and the more support it gets, the more I can do for you. Also, if you liked any of the video, you might consider giving it a little thumbs up there at the end. Danke. So now the whiskey. I have it poured and it's in the glass. I'm gonna let it get a little bit of air. The whiskey is a single pot still distillate, first matured in a combination of first fill and refill American oak barrels before being left to finish in 50-litre Mulberry Wood casks between 3 to 8 months. Bottled at 46% ABV and very limited to 1,000 bottles total. This is a non-age statement whiskey and I believe it retailed for about €100. I've read somewhere also that this whiskey was born out of trials dating back to 2019. Let's try the world's first mulberry finished Irish whiskey. All right, on the nose. I've let that sit for just a couple of minutes, not very long, but the nose is quite nice. There's loads of apple coming through. You know, for a non-age statement, surprisingly, not really any kind of alcohol or spirit coming through on it. There's plenty of spice, kind of a spicy white peppery note, if I will. The nose is absolutely gorgeous. There's a nuttiness to it as well, or kind of like a crispy, kind of bright wood nose. It's not overly complex, but like there's a lovely kind of, I want to say a nutty toasted note to it as well. There's kind of a, like from that spice, there's like a prickliness, like a prickly kind of nose. The nose is lovely on it. Once you let it air out a little bit, really nice. On the palate, sláinte. Lovely bits of apple coming through. Other orchard fruits that are light, kind of, I want to say like a pear. The spice stands out. It's quite a bit different. I won't say weird, but it kind of comes from nowhere and has a serious amount of hang time. I did read in the official tasting notes that this is kind of paprika spice. And I haven't, actually, to be honest, I haven't really tried anything with paprika spice in it until now. I've never even kind of heard of that really in a whiskey. But another slip, sláinte. I don't know, is it the pot still that's making it that spiciness coming forward, or the Mulberry Wood casks that are imparting some of that spicy notes on it, but it's quite in your face. And from that then, there's a little bit of kind of bitterness to it that's impacting a good bit on the palate. You know, it's intertwining with the spice. It's kind of totally different than what I would be used to in terms of drinking whiskey. You know, on the finish, you know, you're having that little bit of bitterness that comes through. The spice just continues on. For me, that's kind of standing out the most. You know, you still are getting those little bit of fruit vibes on the palate. They're just kind of hanging out. It's a little bit on the dry side. You know, it's interesting. The two things that are standing out the most is kind of like that bitterness note and the spice. I wouldn't say it was bad. It's just different than what I have had before. But the nose is gorgeous. Look, it's certainly different and not really like, you know, anything I've tasted before, as I said. And that's, you know, not necessarily a bad thing. I think the bit that I like the most is the nose and the fruity apple notes. It's very straightforward. It comes out very much, but the one thing that throws me off the most is the spice coming through on the end and the bitterness on the finish. I don't think it's a bad whiskey, and other people will love everything it has to offer. I'm just not entirely sure this particular one is for me. Again, not a bad thing, just my opinion. It's that spice and bitterness at the end I like spicy whiskey, just I don't like it maybe that much. But you know, if you were lucky enough to get one of these bottles and you've tried it yourself, let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts were on it. You know, I'd be really interested to hear what the verdict is from you guys on this. I did see a lot of pictures up on Facebook and stuff like that, so I know people got bottles. As I said before, I'm a big fan of Method and Madness whiskeys. Just this one for me was maybe a touch too mad for my personal taste, but you know, I guess I love the method behind it. Fair play to him. You see what I did there? I know. Right, well, that's all from me this week. As I said, I was going to try and keep this video short and sweet, and I am a man of my word. Thanks to the good folks here at Christie's for hooking me up with my sample for the video today. As always, I am extremely grateful, and I'll see you all next time on Whiskey and Whiskey. Jesus, that was like a game show sign-off or something like that. Try and do it my way, this one, right? Until next time, Chaser out. Sláinte.